raging surf smashes against the rocky coastline of northern Cape Breton. The sounds of the ocean echoes inland, but are lost forever in the sweep of the deep valleys and lush meadows of the Cape Breton Highlands. And sitting majestically above the high cliffs is Celtic Lodge, a place where the weary traveler may spend a night or an eternity. All the lands and the original buildings were owned by an American millionaire. On his deathbed, he willed this part of the Highlands to his wife. The government of Nova Scotia had other plans for this Highland place. Woe betide to those who attempt to profit from a widow's misfortune. Back in the 1930s, the government of Nova Scotia expropriated this land from the widow of American millionaire Henry Clay Corson. That expropriation reached down into the very grave of old Henry. Legend has it that because of that expropriation, the ghost of Henry Clay Corson cannot rest. His spirit rises to walk endlessly over the land that once was his. When old Henry was alive, he spent many hours walking the land he developed out of a wilderness. It is said that even during daylight hours, his spirit moves between the birches of his beloved peninsula. When dark shadows fall and the mist sweeps over the highlands, the ghost of Henry Clay Corson wanders the corridors of Celtic Lodge. Here is where time stands still. Employees whisper of hearing someone or something walking the hallways late at night, of doors opening and closing on their own, of seeing an unfamiliar face appearing in a window and just as quickly disappearing. Lodgers cannot shake the feeling of a strong presence in their midst, as if they were being followed, as if they were being watched. Some employees and visitors wonder if there is something other than humans spending a night at Celtic Lodge. In 1926, Henry Clay Corson died and was buried in Akron, Ohio. Later, his wife became much too ill ever to return to Cape Breton. Local legend has it, however, that not only the spirit of old Henry, but that of his wife lives on forever in the highlands of Cape Breton. In just a few moments, a Friday the 13th Maritime mystery involving a Halifax businessman and his sudden disappearance. Benny Weitzman closed his grocery store and set out for an afternoon of hunting. When darkness fell, it also closed in on his whereabouts. It's Friday the 13th, the month, February, the year, 1953. 43-year-old Benny Weitzman, apparently not the least bit superstitious, leaves home to go rabbit hunting in the lakeside area of Halifax County. Benny Weitzman is never seen again. So what really happened to the little man from Halifax? Did he go so deep into the woods that he became lost and eventually died of exposure?
Probably not. Benny was an experienced outdoorsman. So after nearly 40 years, the question being asked over and over again is, what is the real story behind the disappearance of Benny Weitzman?
In 1953, the disappearance of Mr. Weitzman was treated as a missing person while he had gone hunting, and it remains active and open as a missing person. We have nothing to suggest to the contrary in relation to Mr. Weitzman's disappearance.
Benny Weitzman wanted to be just like everyone else, but at just 4 feet tall, he was not. A bachelor, Benny lived with his mother, who operated a grocery store in North End, Halifax. Benny's first cousin, David Weitzman, an artist and teacher in the community, remembers that Benny may have been argumentative at times, but was generally liked by everyone.
My father even went out hunting for him. My older brother did too, and nobody could find him. There was no way of, nobody knew what happened.
A driver who gave Benny a ride dropped him off at around 3 p.m. in the lakeside area. He apparently spent about an hour hunting before coming out of the woods. Back on the highway, Benny again hitched a ride. The RCMP investigation revealed that witnesses said they saw Benny in the Beachville area, at the Armdale Rotary, even in Halifax the following day. The driver who picked Benny up drove him to the entrance of the Greenhead Road at Lakeside, where Benny, carrying his 20-gauge shotgun, re-entered the woods again. Sometime later, a taxi driver saw Benny standing directly across the road from the CJCH radio transmitter. That was around 5:20. Apparently, he was hitchhiking a ride back to the city, and that, according to the police report, was the last time Benny Weitzman was seen. What happened to the little grocer of Agricola Street? It's important to remember that Benny Weitzman was wearing expensive rings, a watch, and he was carrying a small amount of money.
The theory that I have is, short as he was, and this was out around Greenwood, I believe, where it was probably very boggy, and there would probably be an abandoned well or two. And he got lost, and he stepped into a hole and just disappeared.
The RCMP, along with experienced woodsmen that included the Day brothers from Lakeside, searched the woods around the Greenhead area that weekend, but failed to find any trace of Benny.
I think he's down and back at Pot Lake. He's got hurt, and the storm's got him.
No, it's possible. As I said, he wears head money. He wore diamond rings. He could have been done in somewhere.
Did Benny Weitzman become lost in the woods, unable to find his way out? He perhaps panicked and ran in circles until he collapsed exhausted? Was it the elements that did Benny in? Or was it robbery and murder? Coming up later, a night on the town with an 18th century vamp.
I'm a vampire, babe, sucking blood from the earth. I'm a vampire, babe, sucking blood from the earth.
According to scientific reports, what you are about to witness is true. Experts stake their careers on what they believed actually happened to an Antigonish County family who were driven from their home by a hand other than human. This is a settlement of Caledonia Mills, located 20 miles from Antigonish, Nova Scotia. Nearly 75 years ago, there was a farm located about a mile off the main road. The farm was owned by Black John Alexander MacDonald. What is left today are only unholy memories of that place. Many books have been written about the strange and demonic happenings at the farm, including The Fire Spook by N. Carroll McIntyre. And the nightmare began on a cold winter night when Black John MacDonald and his family were awakened by the smell of smoke. When the family rushed to the kitchen, they discovered several small fires. They would later describe the scene as floating balls of fire. Little did Black John MacDonald think, as he breathed a sigh of relief, that he was merely attending a dress rehearsal for the show that was to start in that winter of 1922. The family consisted of Black John Alexander, the husband and father, who was 70, his wife Janet, who was 68, and their adopted daughter, 16-year-old Mary Ellen. 4 days after the fire started, and while neighbors sat around the MacDonald's kitchen table drinking tea and discussing the strange happenings, smoke and flames began swirling from behind the parlor door.
During the 4 days since the fire started, the MacDonalds and their neighbors put out a total of 38 fires. The next day, day 5, the MacDonalds were forced temporarily to evacuate their home. The vacant farmhouse was now given a wide berth by the neighbors, who considered the place haunted.
Retired history professor A.A. Tony Mackenzie knew many of the players in that black drama, and to this day believes that the MacDonald's home was invaded by a poltergeist.
Whatever powers a poltergeist has, I assume they had. There was a strange animal around, like a cross between a pig and a dog, is the way the old people described it. A black animal.
The news of the mysterious outbreak of fires attracted the attention of many experts, including provincial detective Peter Peachy Carroll of Pictou, who spent 2 days and 2 nights inside the abandoned home. His conclusion, I firmly believe that neither the fires nor other strange occurrences about the farm were the cause of human hands. 3 months after the fires first started, the MacDonalds moved back. That very night, fires again started. The poltergeist apparently won. The MacDonald family moved out for good.
Time has erased all evidence of the MacDonald farm, even to the Caledonia Mills Highway sign. As time passed, so did Alex MacDonald. Only a year after evacuating the farm, he passed away the victim of pneumonia. 8 years later, Mrs. MacDonald's cause of death, third-degree burns. A coincidence? Their adopted daughter, Mary Ellen, moved to Ontario, where she lived until she passed away only 6 years ago, bringing to an end one of the great unsolved maritime mysteries. Coming up to the streets of Moncton, New Brunswick, and an 18th century vamp. Over 100 years ago, well-intentioned residents of Moncton, New Brunswick deemed Rebecca Lutz more than human. To them, she did strange and peculiar things, so they deemed her a witch. And when she died, they gave her a witch's send-off and burial.
Moncton, New Brunswick, a city steeped in tradition and history. Part of its history, its folklore, deals with a creature rarely found on this side of the Atlantic Ocean. In 1876, a young woman, Rebecca Lutz, suddenly died. Rebecca did not receive a normal burial. Rebecca, you see, was a vampire. And because of that, town and church officials buried Rebecca in a cement grave in unconsecrated ground and without a religious service.
Once Rebecca was entombed, the good folk of Moncton went about their daily lives in the belief that they were safe from such a demon. But were they? Did Rebecca remain imprisoned in her cement coffin? Or did she, and does she, rise up with the first cluster of shadows to roam the streets of Moncton? Does this vamp have the power to blend in with ordinary people, to take on the likeness of a woman of the 90s?
I'm a vampire, babe, sucking blood from the earth. I'm a vampire, baby, sucking blood from the earth. Well, I'm a vampire, babe, sell you 20 barrels worth.
There were those in Moncton who believed Rebecca was really a vampire and a witch. Others did not. They believed the only thing wrong with Rebecca was her mind. Rebecca, according to some, was insane.
Six months after Rebecca's unexplained death, her mother suddenly died, and she too ended up in a cement coffin alongside her vampire daughter. Are they still there? Richard Dalby writes in his anthology of ghost stories about two spirits who meet for the first time on the other side. Somewhere in desolate windswept space, in shadowland, in no man's land, two wandering souls meet face to face and bade each other stand. And who art thou, quoth one agape, all in the gray and misty light? I hardly know, the other said, for I only died last night. Next, a Cape Breton ghost gets his spirits up when the government of the day decides to cut through his beloved mountain to build a section of the Trans-Canada Highway. For Maritime Mysteries, I'm Bill Jessome.
Be sure to catch another exciting episode of Maritime Mysteries next Friday at 11:30 on ATV.